You're 8 years old, crouched in the back of Denisova Cave in southern Siberia 100,000 years ago, when the hyena pack returns from their night hunt. Blood drips from their jaws, fresh meat hangs from their teeth, and you're hiding behind a pile of gnawed bones, trying not to breathe. This is your bedroom. This is your kitchen. This is your entire world. The cave reeks of death and hyena piss. The temperature outside just hit 40 below zero. Again, it's been winter for 8 months straight, and spring won't come for another 4. Your stomach hasn't felt full in 3 years. Your little sister died last month. The hyenas ate her. Welcome to life as a Denisovan. Population rapidly declining. You share this cave with the most dangerous predators on Earth, not by choice, by necessity, because outside that cave entrance lies something even worse. The Pleistocene Ice Age in full swing, endless tundra, howling winds, and temperatures that turn spit into ice before it hits the ground. Your family huddles around a pathetic fire made from mammoth dung and twigs. The smoke burns your eyes, but it's the only thing keeping you from freezing solid. Your father sharpens stone scrapers with hands that shake from constant cold. Your mother picks lice from your hair with fingers that have no feeling left. This is the good part of your day. Your people have been living in this cave for 200,000 years, generation after generation of Denisovans sharing space with cave hyenas, cave bears, and whatever other nightmare predators wander in from the frozen wasteland outside. Archaeologists will later find thousands of animal bones mixed with Denisovan remains. Guess which bones show more bite marks? The hyenas barely tolerate your presence. You're not prey yet, but you're not pack either. You exist in this weird middle space where one wrong move gets you eaten, but staying perfectly still might let you live another day. It's like being roommates with serial killers who haven't decided if they like you yet. Your daily routine is simple. Wake up, check if everyone's still alive, fail to find food, try not to die, repeat. Finding food means scavenging scraps the hyenas leave behind. You wait until they're asleep, then creep through the cave, searching for anything with meat still clinging to it. A fragment of mammoth bone with marrow inside, a piece of reindeer hide they missed. Sometimes, if you're really lucky, an entire marmot leg. You eat everything raw. Cooking means making noise, and noise brings attention from things with bigger teeth than you. The cave paintings won't show this part. The ones that survive will make Denisovan life look mysterious and spiritual. What they won't show is an 8-year-old eating maggots from a rotting carcass because it's the only protein you've seen in 4 days. Your immune system works overtime, just keeping you breathing. Tuberculosis kills most kids by age 10. Pneumonia takes the rest. The lucky ones die from accidents. At least those are quick. But somehow, impossibly, you're still alive at 8. This makes you practically elderly in Denisovan child years. Your body tells the story of your life. Malnutrition has stunted your growth. Vitamin deficiency has bent your bones. Constant cold has left permanent blue marks under your skin. Parasites from raw meat have given you a belly that swells and contracts like a broken balloon. You look like a tiny scarecrow wrapped in animal fur. The fur comes from whatever the hyenas kill. Your family waits for them to finish eating, then strips whatever hide remains. No tanning, no processing, just raw skin wrapped around your body. Still bloody, still stinking, but warm enough to keep you from dying instantly. Fashion is survival, nothing more. Your brain is the same size as a modern human's, but it's focused entirely on not dying. You know which shadows mean hyenas are coming home. You know which sounds mean the cave bears are waking up. You know exactly how long you can go without food before your body starts shutting down. This is your education. This is your childhood development, learning to read the signs of incoming death. Your people don't have language the way modern humans will. You communicate in grunts, hand signals, and the occasional scream when something goes wrong. Conversation is a luxury for species that aren't constantly running from predators. The social structure is brutal. The strongest get first pick of whatever food exists. The weakest get whatever's left. Children get whatever the weakest don't want, which is usually nothing. Your father is the alpha of your small group. This means he gets to eat first when food is available. It also means he's the one who decides which children are worth keeping alive during the really bad times. Last winter, he had to make that choice twice. Your mother gave birth to 6 children. You and your brother are the only ones still breathing. The others died from cold, starvation, disease, or predation. That's actually a pretty good survival rate for Denisovans. Most families lose everyone. The infant mortality rate is somewhere around 70%, but nobody keeps statistics because nobody can count that high. Your tools are chunks of stone that barely qualify as tools. Your father shapes them by hitting rocks together until sharp pieces break off. The process takes hours and produces maybe 3 usable scrapers. These scrapers have to last months because finding good stone means venturing outside the cave. Going outside means entering the territory of things that consider you a snack. Your typical day starts before dawn. Your father and the other adult males prepare for a hunting expedition. This involves sharpening stone scrapers, wrapping their feet in animal hide, and performing what might generously be called planning, but is really just pointing in different directions and grunting. The women and children stay in the cave, supposedly for safety, really because you'd just slow down the hunt and probably get everyone killed. You spend your day searching for anything edible within the cave, roots that somehow grew in the darkness, mushrooms that might not be poisonous, insects that haven't frozen solid. Sometimes you find bird eggs from hawks that nested in the cave ceiling. These are like winning the lottery. Most days, you find nothing. Your brother, who's 12 and therefore practically ancient, teaches you the fine art of bone marrow extraction. This involves taking a heavy rock and smashing animal bones until the fatty marrow inside squeezes out. The marrow is pure calories and fat. It's also disgusting and usually rancid. You eat it anyway. Hunger makes everything taste like survival. The hyenas watch you work. They know you're extracting food value they missed. Sometimes they let you finish and take the marrow away. Sometimes they take it before you're done. Sometimes they take your finger along with it. Your hands are covered in scars from these negotiations. Evening brings the return of the hunting party. If they're successful, they drag in something dead. If they're unsuccessful, they drag in something wounded that might die soon. If they're really unsuccessful, they don't come back at all. Tonight, they return with a marmot. 1 marmot for 12 people. The hierarchy kicks in immediately. Your father gets the organs, your mother gets the fat, the other adults get the muscle meat, you and your brother get whatever's left after everyone else has eaten. Tonight, that's a piece of fur with some meat fragments stuck to it. You chew on this for an hour, extracting every possible calorie. The fur gets stuck in your teeth. The meat tastes like blood and dirt. Your stomach cramps from trying to digest hair and gristle. This counts as a feast. After eating, the adults tell stories. These aren't entertainment. They're survival information disguised as narratives. Which direction has the most game? Which valleys are safe during winter? Which caves are already occupied by things with bigger claws than you? You absorb this information like your life depends on it, because it does. Your bedtime routine involves finding the warmest spot in the cave that isn't already claimed by hyenas. This usually means squeezing between 2 adults and hoping their body heat prevents you from freezing during the night. Sleep comes in short bursts between checking for predators, listening for cave-ins, and fighting off the constant hunger that gnaws at your stomach like a living thing. You dream about food, you dream about warmth, you dream about places where 8-year-olds don't have to fight hyenas for scraps. Then you wake up and remember where you are. Tomorrow you'll do it all again. If you're lucky enough to see tomorrow. The statistics are not in your favour. 7 out of 10 Denisovan children die before age 15. The causes vary: starvation, freezing, disease, predation, accidents, sometimes combinations of all 5. But you're not a statistic yet. You're a survivor. You've made it to 8 years old in the most hostile environment in human history. You've outlived most of your siblings. You've learned to coexist with apex predators. You've mastered the art of finding calories in places where calories shouldn't exist. This makes you tougher than any modern human will ever be. It also makes you more desperate, more ruthless, and more willing to do whatever it takes to survive another day, because survival isn't just about being strong or smart or lucky, it's about being hungry enough to keep fighting when everything else wants you dead. Your childhood is ending. Your adolescence is about to begin. And adolescence means learning to hunt, learning to kill, learning to take life from other living things so you can keep the life inside yourself burning just a little bit longer. Tomorrow you become a predator if you live that long. You're 16 now, gripping a stone scraper with hands that won't stop shaking, staring at an 800-pound cave bear that just woke up in the wrong mood. Your father whispers the plan: rush the bear, slash its tendons, try not to die. This is your graduation ceremony. 8 years have passed since that terrified child hiding from hyenas. You survived the transition from scavenger to hunter, but survival came with a price. Your body bears the evidence. 3 fingers on your left hand end in stumps. A cave hyena took them when you were 12. Your right shoulder sits wrong after a cave lion nearly pulled your arm off at 14. Every scar tells a story. Every story ends with, "But you lived." The bear notices your hunting party, 5 adult Denisovans armed with sharpened rocks, facing down a creature that could crush skulls with its jaws. The math doesn't look good, but math never factors in desperation. Your stomach hasn't seen real food in 6 days. The hyenas cleaned out the last mammoth carcass. The reindeer herds moved south for winter. It's this bear or starvation. The bear chooses violence. What happens next would give modern humans nightmares for years. The bear charges, your hunting party scatters, stone scrapers become pathetic jokes against claws that measure 4 inches long. You dive behind a pile of bones while your uncle screams as those claws open his chest like wrapping paper. Welcome to hunting in the Pleistocene, where everything wants to kill you and most of it succeeds. Your father lands on the bear's back, driving his scraper into the thick hide between its shoulder blades. The bear spins, trying to shake him off. Blood sprays across the cave walls. Some of it belongs to the bear, most of it doesn't. You watch your father fight for his life while you crouch behind a pile of bones like the coward you know you are. But cowardice keeps you alive long enough to learn the lesson. Direct confrontation with megafauna equals death. Smart hunting means patience, waiting, letting the predators do the killing, then stealing whatever they leave behind. The bear eventually collapses from blood loss and exhaustion. Your hunting party claims victory, but victory costs your uncle's life and nearly takes your father's arm. For 3 days of meat. 3 days that might stretch to 4 if you ration carefully. This is the exchange rate in your world. Lives for meals. You spend the next 5 years mastering the art of not being eaten while extracting calories from an environment designed to kill you. The learning curve is steep. The graduation rate is low. Your tools evolve from chunks of random stone to carefully crafted implements that might last weeks instead of days. You learn to shape scrapers that can strip hide from bone, cores that produce sharp flakes for cutting tendons, choppers heavy enough to crack marrow bones. Tool making takes hours. Tools break in minutes. You make new ones. The leveloir technique becomes your specialty. This involves carefully preparing a stone core, then striking off predetermined flakes that emerge ready to use. It's like 3D chess played with rocks. One wrong strike ruins hours of work. Your hands develop permanent calluses from napping stone. Your knuckles split open from winter cold and never quite heal. Blood on your tools becomes so normal you stop noticing it. The predator gauntlet never ends. Every hunting expedition means navigating territory controlled by things that consider you a meal. Cave hyenas patrol in packs of 12. Cave lions hunt alone but weigh 400 pounds of pure muscle. Brown bears emerge from hibernation hungry enough to eat anything that moves. Then there are the wolves. Arctic wolves during the Pleistocene weren't the romantic creatures of modern wildlife documentaries. They were desperate, starving pack hunters with nothing to lose and everything to gain from adding human meat to their diet. You encounter your first wolf pack at 17. 12 wolves, lean from winter, surrounding your hunting party in a valley with no escape routes. Your father makes the call that saves everyone. Drop the meat. Back away slowly. Live to hunt another day. Watching a week's worth of food disappear into wolf bellies teaches you that pride is a luxury you can't afford. Scavenging becomes an art form. You learn to read landscapes like books. Circling vultures mean fresh kills. Silence means the predators are still eating. Scattered bones mean they've moved on. Your timing has to be perfect. Arrive too early and you become part of the meal. Arrive too late and there's nothing left but gnawed bones. You perfect the 30-second butchering technique. Sprint to the carcass, hack off whatever meat you can carry, sprint away before the original killers return. Sometimes it works. Sometimes you end up running for your life while a pack of hyenas tries to reclaim their property. The close calls pile up like sediment layers in the cave. At 18, a cave lion stalks you for 3 miles before losing interest. At 19, you fall through ice while crossing a frozen river and spend 2 hours clawing your way out. At 20, food poisoning from rotten mammoth meat nearly kills you over the course of 2 weeks. Each survival story makes you tougher. Each survival story takes something away. Your social group shrinks through attrition. Disease takes the weak, predators take the unlucky, accidents take everyone else. The 12 people you grew up with become 8, then 5, then 3. Your brother dies at 22, pneumonia. Nothing dramatic, nothing heroic. Just coughing up blood until he stops breathing. You bury him under a pile of stones in the back of the cave. The hyenas dig him up 3 days later. Life expectancy for Denisovans hovers around 30 years. Making it to 25 puts you in the elder category. Your hair starts going grey from stress, your joints ache constantly from cold and overuse, your teeth wear down from eating grit and bone fragments. You look like a 45-year-old modern human. You feel like you're 60. But you've learned skills that no modern human possesses. You can track wounded animals across miles of frozen landscape. You can predict weather changes from cloud formations. You can extract calories from sources that would make survival experts quit. You know which mushrooms won't kill you immediately. You know how to start fires in sub-zero temperatures with wet tinder. You know exactly how much meat you can cut from a carcass before the scavengers arrive. This knowledge comes at the cost of everything else: art, music, abstract thought, hope for the future. These are luxuries for species that don't spend every waking moment fighting for survival. Your worldview narrows to immediate concerns. Where is the next meal coming from? Which predators are active today? How many more days can you survive on stored body fat? Philosophy is a luxury you can't afford when you're one missed meal away from starvation. The hunting techniques you develop would horrify modern conservationists. You learn to drive entire herds off cliffs, killing dozens of animals to guarantee a few successful harvests. You learn to set deadfall traps that crush anything unlucky enough to trigger them. Sustainability isn't a concept when extinction is the alternative. Your relationship with the cave ecosystem becomes increasingly complex. You coexist with hyenas through careful negotiation. They hunt the big game, you clean up whatever they leave behind. Sometimes you steal fresh kills, sometimes they steal yours. It's like living with violent roommates who occasionally share food but might eat you if the mood strikes. The cave bears present a different challenge. They're not hunters, they're hibernators, but they're territorial about their sleeping spots, and their idea of conflict resolution involves 800 pounds of muscle and claws. You learn to read bear sign like a survival manual. Fresh scratches on cave walls mean an active bear nearby. Old scratches mean safe passage. The difference between fresh and old could mean the difference between life and becoming bear food. Your mental map of the cave system includes precise locations of every bear den, every hyena lair, every wolfpack territory. Survival depends on never forgetting which areas belong to which predators. The stress takes its toll in ways you don't understand. Your hair falls out in patches. Your hands shake when they should be steady. You jump at sounds that shouldn't frighten you. Modern psychology would diagnose this as severe PTSD. You just call it Tuesday. Your dreams, when you manage to sleep, feature endless chases through frozen landscapes. You're always running from something with more teeth than you. You always wake up before finding safety. Sleep becomes a luxury rather than a necessity. Staying awake means staying alert. Staying alert means staying alive. The social dynamics of your group evolve into pure survival hierarchy. The best hunters eat first. The injured eat last. The sick don't eat at all unless they recover quickly. You watch people you've known since childhood make calculations about who's worth keeping alive during the bad times. You make the same calculations yourself. Compassion becomes conditional. Help the strong so they can help you survive. Abandon the weak before they drag everyone down. Your emotional range narrows to variations of fear, hunger, and exhaustion. Joy becomes a foreign concept. Love becomes a liability that makes survival decisions harder. You function more like a survival machine than a human being, but somehow, impossibly, you make it to 25. You've survived the predator gauntlet. You've mastered the art of extracting life from a world designed to kill you. You've outlived most of your generation. You should feel accomplished. You should feel proud. Instead, you feel something worse than fear gnawing at the edges of your consciousness. Change is coming. The climate is shifting again. The glaciers are moving. The prey animals are disappearing. You've survived hyenas, bears, lions, and wolves. You've survived ice ages and starvation and disease. But the predators aren't your biggest threat. The planet itself is turning against you. You're 26 when the winter that never ends begins. The temperature drops another 10 degrees below what you thought was already impossible. The wind howls for 3 months straight. The last reindeer herds freeze solid where they stand. This isn't weather. This is the planet giving up. The Pleistocene is entering its final, most brutal phase. Greenland Stadial 3. The ice sheets advance south like slow-motion tsunamis of frozen death. What used to be hunting grounds become landscapes of ice that stretches to the horizon. Your cave, home to Denisovans for 200,000 years, becomes a trap. The mammoth herds that sustained your people for millennia simply disappear. Not killed, not migrated, gone. The frozen corpses you find scattered across the tundra tell the story. Even megafauna with thick fur and layers of fat couldn't survive this cold. If mammoths are dying, humans don't stand a chance. Your group shrinks from 12 to 8 to 5. Starvation takes the weakest first. Your cousin drops dead while gathering firewood, just collapses in the snow and doesn't get up. His body temperature fell too low to sustain life. You strip his clothes before he freezes solid. Sentiment is a luxury for people who aren't dying. Food becomes a memory. The stored fat from last summer's hunting disappears from your bodies like melting snow. Your ribs show through your skin. Your stomach stops growling because there's no point. Your body starts consuming muscle tissue to keep your brain functioning. Week 6 of no food brings the conversation nobody wants to have. Your father looks at your cousin's frozen corpse and asks the question that's been hanging in the air like smoke. Fresh meat is fresh meat. The dead don't need their calories anymore. You try to refuse. You try to maintain some line that separates humans from the animals you hunt. Week 7 changes your mind. The taste haunts you more than the act itself. Human meat tastes like pork, but with an undertone that makes your stomach turn even as you swallow. Your cousin's thigh muscle keeps you alive for 3 more days. 3 days to find another solution or face the same choice again. Cannibalism becomes as routine as gathering firewood. You develop techniques for efficient butchering. You learn which parts provide the most calories. You stop thinking of the meat as coming from people you knew. Survival rewrites your moral code faster than you thought possible, but even eating your dead can't solve the fundamental problem. There aren't enough people dying to feed the people still living. The mathematics of cannibalism eventually fail. Your group needs to move or die. South means certain death. The ice sheets have claimed everything from here to the ocean. North means more cold, more emptiness, more ice. East leads to territories controlled by other Denisovan groups who are just as desperate and twice as violent. That leaves west, toward the mountains, toward places so high and so cold that maybe, just maybe, they're too hostile for other humans to claim. The Tibetan plateau calls to you like a frozen hell promising salvation. Your father makes the decision that will define the rest of your lives. Pack everything portable. Abandon the cave your people have called home since before memory began. Walk into the unknown and hope it's less deadly than the known. The journey begins with 5 people. It won't end with 5 people. Leaving Denisova Cave feels like cutting off a limb. Every step away from familiar territory increases your chances of death by starvation, predation, or exposure. But staying guarantees death by starvation, so the choice makes itself. You carry stone tools wrapped in animal hide. A few pieces of dried meat that might last 2 days if rationed carefully. Fire-making materials that better work in the mountain winds or you're all dead. Everything else gets left behind, including your mother. She developed pneumonia 3 days before departure, coughing up blood, fever burning through her body, barely conscious. Traveling would kill her faster than staying. Staying would probably kill her anyway. You leave her in the back of the cave with a day's worth of meat and a promise to return if you find somewhere better. You never see her again. The first week of travel brings new lessons in suffering. Walking through knee-deep snow while carrying everything you own burns calories you don't have. The cold penetrates layers of fur and hide like they're made of paper. Your feet freeze and thaw and freeze again until you can't feel them at all. Frostbite turns your toes black. You keep walking because stopping means dying where you fall. The landscape becomes increasingly hostile. Rolling tundra gives way to foothills, then steep valleys carved by glaciers. The air grows thinner with each step upward. Breathing becomes work instead of instinct. Your group encounters other refugees from the climate catastrophe. Denisovan bands moving in different directions, all looking for the same thing. Somewhere, anywhere, that might support life. Competition for scarce resources leads to violence. You attack a family of 4 for their dried meat supply. They fight back with desperation that matches your own. Blood stains the snow red. Bodies that should be buried get butchered for calories. This is what extinction looks like. Not a dramatic ending, but a slow slide into savagery as civilized behavior becomes too expensive to maintain. 2 weeks into the journey, you reach the foothills of what will later be called the Tibetan Plateau. The elevation change hits you like a physical blow. The air contains half the oxygen your body expects. Every breath feels insufficient. Your heart pounds from simple exertion. Walking up slight inclines leaves you gasping. Your vision blurs from altitude sickness. Headaches throb behind your eyes like someone driving stone scrapers into your skull. This is the easy part. You're still below 8,000 feet. The mountains ahead rise to heights that challenge the definition of survivable. Peaks disappear into clouds that never clear. Wind speeds that would knock modern humans unconscious. Temperatures that make Siberian winters feel tropical. But the valleys show signs of life. Animals adapted to high altitude. Vegetation that somehow survives in conditions that kill everything else. Maybe, possibly, enough resources to sustain a small group of humans. If those humans can adapt fast enough to avoid dying from the environment they're trying to survive in, your group finds a cave system at 9,000 feet elevation, Baishia Karst Cave. It's smaller than Denisova Cave, but warmer due to geothermal activity. More importantly, it's unoccupied by other humans. The animals here are different. Blue sheep with thick wool and sure footing on impossible cliffs. Wild yaks built like living fortresses of fur and muscle. Horses adapted to thin air and steep terrain, all of them faster, stronger, and better adapted to this environment than you are. Your first hunting attempt ends in disaster. You track a blue sheep up a cliff face that would challenge modern rock climbers. The sheep bounces between handholds like gravity doesn't apply. You slip, fall 20 feet, and spend 3 days recovering from injuries that nearly kill you. Lesson learned. High-altitude hunting requires different skills than tundra hunting. You develop new techniques over months of trial and error, mostly error, persistence hunting in thin air where running for 5 minutes leaves you unconscious, trap construction using local materials that behave differently than anything you've worked with before. The learning curve is steep and painted with your blood. But gradually, impossibly, you begin to adapt. Your lung capacity increases to process thin air more efficiently. Your red blood cell count rises to carry more oxygen per breath. Your body temperature regulation improves to handle the constant cold. Evolution in real time, driven by the simple choice between adaptation and death. Your group shrinks to 3 people. Your father dies from altitude sickness that his body never quite overcomes. Your remaining cousin disappears during a hunting expedition and never returns. The high country claims them both without ceremony. You and your mate survive by becoming something new. Not quite the Denisovans who lived in Siberian caves, but not yet whatever your descendants might become. You're becoming mountain people, adapted to conditions that would kill lowland humans in hours, capable of extracting life from an environment so hostile that it serves as natural protection against competitors. The irony isn't lost on you. You fled to the mountains to escape extinction. The mountains are changing you into something that might actually survive. But adaptation takes time. generations of time, and you can already see signs of the next catastrophe approaching. Other humans are learning to live at high altitudes too. Different humans, with better tools, better organization, better survival strategies. They call themselves Homo sapiens. They're moving into your territory with the confidence of a species that expects to inherit the Earth. You've survived ice ages, starvation, predators, and cannibalism. You've climbed to the roof of the world and learned to breathe air that shouldn't sustain life. The mountains promise salvation. They deliver something else entirely. You're 36, standing on a cliff edge at 11,000 feet, watching a blue sheep bound across rock faces that should be impossible to navigate. Your lungs burn with every breath. Your head pounds from altitude sickness that never quite goes away. The sheep pauses, looks back at you, and you swear it's laughing. This is hunting on the roof of the world, where gravity tries to kill you before the prey even notices you exist. 10 years have passed since you climbed into these mountains to escape extinction. Your body adapted in ways that would fascinate future scientists. Your lung capacity doubled. Your red blood cell count increased by 40%. Your heart grew larger to pump blood through air that barely qualifies as breathable. You became a different species of human, built for conditions that would drop a lowlander unconscious in minutes. But adaptation came with a price tag written in constant suffering. The headaches never stop. Altitude sickness becomes your permanent companion, a throbbing reminder that human bodies weren't designed for this elevation. Some days the pain behind your eyes makes hunting impossible. You lie in the cave, pressing cold stones against your skull, waiting for the agony to dial back to merely unbearable. Your teeth ache from the thin air, your joints swell from the constant cold, your skin cracks and bleeds in the dry mountain wind. You look like a corpse that forgot to die, but you're alive at 11,000 feet, which makes you part of the most exclusive club in human history. Hunting blue sheep requires skills that border on supernatural. These animals navigate cliff faces with the casual confidence of creatures that evolved here over millions of years. You're a lowland ape trying to compete with mountain ninjas. Your first successful sheep hunt takes 3 months of failures, 3 months of watching prey escape across terrain that would challenge modern rock climbers, 3 months of nearly falling to your death while chasing calories with legs. When you finally corner a sheep on a ledge with no escape route, the kill feels like revenge against the entire mountain. The butchering happens fast. Every minute on an exposed cliff increases your chance of falling, freezing, or becoming prey yourself. You carve off what meat you can carry, crack bones for marrow, strip hide for clothing. The rest gets left for the scavengers. Nothing gets wasted at this altitude. Calories are too precious. Your tools evolve to match the environment. Stone scrapers designed for processing thick mountain sheep hide. Choppers heavy enough to crack yak bones. Specialized tools for working on cliff faces where one wrong move sends you tumbling into valleys that have no bottom. The stone here is different too, harder, more brittle, requiring new knapping techniques that take years to master. Your first mountain-made tools shatter in your hands. The learning process costs fingers, time, and nearly costs your life, but eventually you crack the code. Tools that work at altitude, weapons that function in thin air and sub-zero temperatures, technology adapted to the most hostile environment humans have ever attempted to inhabit. Wild yaks present a different challenge entirely. These animals weigh 800 pounds and were built by evolution to survive Tibetan winters. Thick fur, massive bodies, attitudes that suggest they're not afraid of anything stupid enough to hunt them. Your first yak encounter goes badly. You track a lone bull for 2 days, finally corner it in a box canyon and discover that cornered yaks don't panic. They charge. 800 pounds of angry yak moving at full speed turns hunting into a contact sport. You dive behind rocks while hooves the size of dinner plates smash the ground where you were standing. Your hunting spear, carefully crafted over weeks, snaps like a twig against the yak's thick hide. You retreat with a new respect for megafauna and a plan for next time. Pack hunting becomes essential. 3 hunters with stone-tipped spears can eventually bring down a yak, but it requires coordination, timing, and the willingness to risk everything for one meal. The yak hunt that finally succeeds costs your hunting partner his life. The bull's horns catch him in the chest, toss him 20 feet through the air. He lands wrong. His back breaks with a sound like snapping wood. You finish the kill while he bleeds out in the snow. He dies watching you butcher the animal that killed him. The meat from one yak feeds your group for 2 weeks. Your partner's death bought 14 days of survival. The math is brutal but simple. These mountains change the way you think about everything. Time, distance, survival, death. The scale is too big, too hostile, too indifferent to human concerns. You become smaller, more focused, more willing to make trades that would horrify lowland humans. Your social group stabilizes at 5 people, the perfect number for high-altitude hunting. Enough to take down large prey, small enough to avoid depleting local resources too quickly. You hunt together, eat together, survive together. Marriage becomes a survival strategy rather than an emotional choice. You mate with the woman whose skills complement yours. She excels at hide processing and tool maintenance. You handle the hunting and butchering. Together you create a survival unit that can function at altitude. Children become both blessing and burden. More hunters for the future, but more mouths to feed now. Infant mortality at 11,000 feet approaches 90%. The air is too thin, the cold too severe, the food too scarce. Your mate gives birth to 4 children over 8 years. 1 survives to age 5. The mountains take the rest. But that one child, that survivor, is born with lungs designed for thin air and a heart built for high altitude. Evolution working in real time, creating humans adapted to impossible conditions. Your daughter represents the future of mountain-dwelling humanity. If there is a future, because something else is climbing toward you from the valleys below. Other humans, different humans, with tools you've never seen and organizational skills that put your small group to shame. Homo sapiens, the species that will inherit the earth. You first encounter them during a hunting expedition in the lower valleys, a group of 20 humans working together with precision that makes your pack hunting look like amateur hour. They carry spears with stone points attached, using techniques you don't understand. They communicate with complex vocalizations that sound almost like language. Most disturbing, they're successful. Their hunting grounds show signs of systematic exploitation, animal bones cracked for marrow with tools more efficient than yours, hide processing techniques that produce better winter clothing. They're not just surviving at altitude, they're thriving. You watch them from hiding, studying their methods, trying to understand how they coordinate so effectively. Their success makes your struggles look pathetic by comparison. These newcomers don't just hunt individually, they plan seasons in advance, they stockpile resources for winter, they have social structures that allow knowledge to pass between generations. Your group operates on pure instinct and desperation. They operate like a species with a future. The territorial disputes begin small, competing for the same hunting grounds, following the same animal trails, both groups targeting the limited resources that can sustain human life at altitude. But small disputes escalate. Homo sapiens travel in larger groups, carry better weapons, coordinate attacks more effectively. When conflict becomes inevitable, the outcome is predetermined. Your first direct confrontation costs 2 members of your group. They overwhelm you through superior numbers and technology. You retreat to higher elevations, deeper into the mountains where the air is too thin for even adapted humans to survive long. But retreat has limits. Eventually, you run out of higher ground. The displacement happens gradually. Homo sapiens claim the best hunting territories, the most productive valleys, the caves with the most favorable microclimates. Your group gets pushed into marginal areas where survival becomes even more difficult. You watch your people's territory shrink like snow melting in spring. Every season brings new humans into your traditional hunting grounds. Every season pushes you further toward the edge of survivability. Your mate dies at 38. Altitude sickness that her body never quite overcame finally wins the battle. She collapses during a hunting expedition and doesn't get up. You carry her body back to the cave and burn it with the last of your stored firewood. Your daughter survives to age 12, then disappears during a solo hunting trip and never returns. The mountains claim her like they've claimed everyone else you've ever known. You're alone now. The last Denisovan in a territory increasingly controlled by humans who represent your species' replacement. The irony cuts deep. You survived ice ages in Siberia. You adapted to impossible altitude. You learned to hunt animals that evolution spent millions of years perfecting. You became something new, something harder, something capable of extracting life from the most hostile environment on Earth. But you couldn't become what Homo sapiens already were: organized, cooperative, capable of thinking beyond individual survival towards species-level success. You're 43 years old, ancient by Denisovan standards. Your body is breaking down from decades of high-altitude living and constant stress. Your hands shake from nerve damage caused by repeated frostbite. Your lungs work overtime just to keep you conscious. The humans in the valleys below are building fires whose smoke you can see from your cave. They're singing songs whose echoes carry on the mountain wind. They're creating art, telling stories, planning futures that extend beyond tomorrow's hunt. You've survived everything. Ice ages, starvation, predators, cannibalism, climate catastrophe, migration, altitude, cold, isolation, everything except time itself. You're 44 when you make the decision that will end everything. The decision to go home, not home to the high cave where you've spent the last 18 years watching your species die one person at a time. Home to Denisova Cave, the place where you learn to hide from hyenas as a terrified child, where your people lived for 200,000 years before the world turned against them, the place where this story began. Your body is failing in ways that can't be fixed. Altitude sickness has damaged your heart beyond repair. Your lungs work at maybe 60% capacity. Your joints have stiffened from decades of cold and overuse. Walking more than a mile leaves you gasping. You're dying. The only question is where? The journey down from the Tibetan plateau takes 3 weeks. 3 weeks of descending through elevations that should feel easier to breathe but somehow don't. Your body adapted to thin air so completely that normal atmosphere feels thick and wrong. You're a mountain human trying to return to the lowlands. The transition works in reverse too. The landscape has changed during your 18-year absence. The ice sheets retreated, leaving behind valleys carved by glaciers that no longer exist. New forests grow where tundra used to stretch to the horizon. The world looks younger, greener, more alive, more capable of supporting life. If you belonged to a species with a future, You encounter Homo sapiens camps every few days, organized settlements with 20 or 30 people working together, children playing games that involve complex rules, adults creating tools with techniques that make your stone scrapers look like random rocks. They notice you but don't consider you a threat. One aging Denisovan with failing health poses no challenge to their expansion. You're a relic, a leftover from an earlier, less successful attempt at humanity. Some of them even try to communicate, gestures that might indicate offers of food or shelter, vocalizations that sound like attempts at trade negotiation. You understand their intent, but not their language. The gap between species has become too wide to bridge with simple gestures. You keep walking, back toward a cave that might not welcome you anymore. The territory around Denisova Cave shows signs of heavy human activity. Fire rings that weren't there when you left, tool-making sites with debris from systematic stone knapping, animal bones processed with techniques you've never seen. Your ancestral homeland has been claimed by more successful humans. The cave entrance looks smaller than you remember. 18 years of mountain living changed your perspective on enclosed spaces, or maybe you've just gotten used to the vast scale of high-altitude landscapes. Inside, everything is different. The hyenas are gone, replaced by human artifacts scattered throughout chambers that used to echo with predator sounds. Stone tools arranged in organized piles, hide processing areas with evidence of sophisticated tanning techniques, sleeping areas marked by fire rings and windbreaks. Homo sapiens turned your ancestral cave into a tool factory. You find evidence of your people in the deepest chambers, bone fragments that look distinctly Denisovan mixed with the remains of more recent occupants. Your species' physical legacy reduced to unidentifiable scraps in a midden pile. But something else catches your attention. Children playing in the same passages where you once hid from hyenas. Their features aren't quite right for pure Homo sapiens. Broader faces, more robust bone structure, adaptations that look familiar. These children carry genes that came from somewhere else. Someone else? You watch them from the shadows, studying faces that echo features you've seen in polished water reflections, the shape of their skulls, the width of their nasal cavities, the bone structure around their eyes. They look like your people, mixed with theirs. The realization hits like a physical blow. Your species didn't just get replaced, it got absorbed. Denisovan genes mixing with Homo sapiens genes, creating hybrids that carry forward the best adaptations from both lineages. Your people live on inside their people. The children notice you watching. Instead of fear, they show curiosity. One approaches with the fearless confidence of a species that considers itself the apex predator of any environment. She can't be more than 8 years old, the same age you were when hyenas ruled this cave, but she moves through these passages like she owns them. Her people do own them. She offers you food, cooked meat prepared with techniques that make your raw scavenging look primitive. The kindness of a successful species toward a failed one. You accept the gift because refusing would be meaningless pride. The meat tastes better than anything you've eaten in months. Salt, herbs, cooking methods that extract maximum flavor and nutrition from available resources. This is what advancement looks like. Not just survival, but improvement, making life better instead of just maintaining it. You spend 3 days in the cave watching Homo sapiens families go about their daily routines. Their children learn through play instead of terror. Their adults plan for seasons they haven't lived through yet. Their elderly pass on knowledge that accumulates across generations instead of dying with each individual. They've solved problems your people never figured out how to approach. On the third night, your heart finally gives up. Decades of high-altitude stress, malnutrition, and constant survival pressure take their toll. You feel the rhythm change, skip, then fade like a fire running out of fuel. You die in the back of Denisova Cave, in the same chamber where you once hid from hyenas as a child. Your last sight is Homo sapiens children playing games in passages that echo with 200,000 years of Denisovan history. Your body gets added to the bone pile with all the other remains, Denisovan, Neanderthal, Homo sapiens, all mixed together in the sediment layers that will confuse future archaeologists. The humans who find you don't realize they're burying the last pure Denisovan. To them, you're just another old person who died in a cave. They treat your remains with the same casual respect they'd show any elderly member of any tribe. Your bones settle into the sediment, your DNA begins its slow decay, your species officially ends, but your genes continue, carried forward in the children you watched, passed down through generations of humans who will never know your name but will carry your adaptations into the future. 45,000 years pass. Russian archaeologists working in Denisova Cave uncover a finger bone. Small, unimpressive, easy to overlook. Just another fragment in a cave full of ancient remains. But this bone carries DNA, intact enough for sequencing, different enough to rewrite the human family tree. They name your species after the cave where you lived and died. Denisovans, the mystery humans who shared the world with Neanderthals and Homo sapiens but left almost no fossil evidence. Scientists discover that your people's genes live on in billions of modern humans. Tibetans carry Denisovan adaptations that help them survive at high altitude. Melanesians carry Denisovan genes that boost their immune systems. Inuit populations carry Denisovan traits that help them survive Arctic conditions. Your species died, but your DNA became immortal. The researchers mapping your genome don't know about the 8-year-old hiding from hyenas. They don't know about the cave bear hunts or the cannibalism during the Ice Age. They don't know about the desperate migration to Tibet or the gradual displacement by more successful humans. They know you existed. They know you mattered. They know you succeeded in ways that matter more than individual survival. Your people lost the battle for territory, for resources, for dominance, but you won something more important. You won genetic immortality. Parts of you live on in every human population that descended from the groups who absorbed your lineage. Every time a Tibetan breathes easily at 14,000 feet, they're using lungs shaped by Denisovan evolution. Every time a Melanesian fights off a tropical disease, they're using immune systems strengthened by Denisovan genes. You didn't just survive the Ice Age, the predators, the starvation, the altitude, and the climate catastrophe. You survived extinction itself. Your species died. Your genes live forever. 45,000 years after your death, scientists hold your finger bone and realize they're touching the remains of a people who shaped the future of humanity in ways too complex to understand. Your DNA tells a story of survival against impossible odds, adaptation to impossible environments, and success measured in genetic legacy rather than territorial conquest. The hyenas that once shared your cave are long extinct. The cave bears died out 25,000 years ago. The Ice Age megafauna vanished into fossil layers, but you're still here, hidden in the chromosomes of billions of people who carry forward the adaptations that kept your ancestors alive when everything else wanted them dead. That terrified 8-year-old hiding from hyenas. Parts of him survive in humans all over the world. You died, but at the same time, you never died at all. And the cave where it all began, It's still there, still sheltering humans, still adding to the sediment layers that tell the story of how our species survived when survival seemed impossible. Your story ends where it began, in a cave in Siberia where humans learned to coexist with predators, survive ice ages, and pass on genes that would outlive empires. You wouldn't survive a day as a Denisovan, but parts of you already are.